What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team in 2022 and 2021, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And this is Black Canada Talking. We're broadcasting live on February 5th, Black History Month. Black History Month, all right? But Black History is every day. But this is Black History Month, at least in this part of the world. I know in England they celebrate it at a different month of the year. Just want to tell you a little bit about Black Canada Talking. It's a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes and POVs on stories that are of importance to them. And we usually have a bi-weekly panel. We know we have at least one lady, but she can hold her own easily with our audience, easily. But if Cesar and Elle jump in, that's great. Just want to do a few little housekeeping rules before we get things going. If you're watching this before February 16, 2023, I am in collaboration with an organization called Innovation Guelph, who helps businesses and entrepreneurs in the Southern Ontario region. I'm hosting a series, well, 2 parts are done. Third part of how to start your podcasts or how to podcast. And the first 2 have been great successes. Now the third one is coming on February 16th. If you want to register, the link is right there. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, I can't tell you, that's why you got to watch it, but still listen anyways. Also, too, if you are up to it, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show wherever you're watching this, preferably on YouTube, where you subscribe on YouTube, you subscribe and hit the notification bell that gets you updated on when upcoming Epic Conversations are going to happen. So that is it for housekeeping rules right now. Let's bring on the guest of honor today. The guest of honor with a beautiful smile, Sarah Onyango. How are you today?
I am well. And listen, happy Black joy, brilliance, beauty, and just badassery month. Right? Hello. What? This ain't no history right here. This is like happening right now. This is right now. And yeah, Black, oh, beautiful.
That's the word for this month.
Yeah.
Okay. What events are going on this? Well, you know what?
What events are not going on? That's the ease. Listen, Dr. Vibe, let me tell you, our nation's capital is a buzz with Black activity. Buzz on both sides of the river. You know, I'm from Quebec.
Yes.
I'm from Quebec. Even on this side of the river, the Conseil de la Communauté Noire de Gatineau, shout out to Aïcha Touré and her whole team, have like a whole month's worth of activities, including activities in collaboration with the Salon du Livre de l'Outaouais, which is the Outaouais annual book fair, which used to be white. Now there's some blackity black activity up in there. This is, I think, the 3rd year in a row that they're mainstreaming Black authors, Black books, panel discussions about Black life and Black experiences. So that's awesome. On the other side of the river, mainstream institutions like the National Arts Center, and we'll talk about that later, right?
Oh, yes.
Causing quite a stir, sir. Yes. The National Arts Center has, oh my God, I think I've got like 6 shows I'm going to at the NAC in the one, like I'm going to the NAC more in February than I go all year this year. Okay. That's how much, right? The Jazz Festival has activities. The Ottawa Public Library has activities. And a lot of these activities are in person, but there are hybrid events. There are online events. There's an event at the War Museum about the apology to the No. 2 Construction Battalion that I'm going to be part of. So y'all need to like get online and find that link on February 9th. It's on Thursday. That's going to be an epic conversation. So, there's lots going on. Lots.
So, and I'm saying this respectfully, you and I are getting in the path of our journey that we are beginning to become historians a little bit. A little bit. Respectfully. We've seen a historian. Lot. Well, we've seen a lot.
Yeah.
So the activities that are going on in the capital region compared to other years, the same amount, less, or more?
It depends on what institution you're talking about. The National Arts Center, it's on steroids. It's crazy. It's out of this world. I've never seen this much Black activity in 1 month at the National Arts Center in decades, like quite literally.
Wow.
And that speaks to the commitment of the National Arts Center to really open up that space to, Black audiences, Black creators, Indigenous creators. We have Indigenous theater there now, which I would never, 10 years ago, I would never have, imagined that. The museums, the War Museum and the History Museum, like they've had events, but it's always sort of been a sprinkle here and there, and strictly only in February. But now, they're starting to understand that, well, there are Black experiences that are valid the rest of the year too. So they're slowly starting to sort of include us, in different things. But no, I think people feel like there's more because it's the first time since the pandemic.
Right.
That people are actually physically going to events. Our opening last Saturday was ridiculous. Like, we filled up the National Gallery of Canada. By the way, that was the first time ever that the Black History Month launch has been held at the National Gallery of Canada, another space that is being decolonized and opened up by a Black woman. The National Arts Center, by a Black woman.
Wow.
Listen, give the job to some Black women. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, that is interesting. I'm glad, as always, you bring a great lens to what's going on in Blackalicious-dom.
I'm taking that word.
Blackalicious?
Yes. Blackalicious-dom.
Oh, dumb. Because I have Blackalicious. That's mine. Yeah. Sorry.
But the universe of Blackliciousness is Blackalicious-dom.
Yes. And yes. Even with Beyonce coming on tour and charging.
Oh, never mind her. I'm sorry. No. Listen. So speaking of, ours to tell, can we not tell more stories of the Julie Blacks and the Kelly Lee Evanses and the Okans and the, Black women in Canada working way harder than Beyonce to get even a little crumb here and there.
You got to be careful now. You're going to get the members
and also
the Beehive going to be upset at you.
I'm not interested in being high, behave, Beyonce. No disrespect, sister. You all right? But I'm really focused on my Canadian sisters. Now, see, if Beyonce would do collaborations with Canadian artists other than Drake, and Black Canadian women artists, okay. I'd be a little more impressed. She goes all the way to Nigeria to get the Burna Boys and the Wiz Kids and all those guys. Canada's next door. I'm just saying.
Or as one of my mentors
So Beyonce, if you're listening, we have a lot of Canadian talent that you might be able to use. And they have great songwriting skills. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, as they say, all right? Well, hey, and if Beyonce, get in touch with Ebony Rowe. She's been running a great event called Honey Jam for years.
You know what? Beyonce should come to Honey Jam one year and completely sell out Roy Thompson Hall or something and give Miss Ebony Rowe an even bigger platform.
I like that idea.
Just putting it out there in the universe.
I like that idea because Ebony has been working
Very
So,
hard. Some
for
20
me,
years or so. Unbelievable.
and
Consistently. That's
yes,
another thing. The consistency of it all.
yeah,
If you put, 2 or 3 editions of a festival, sorry, but yeah. But if you've been chugging along for a decade, 2 decades, nonstop,
yeah,
with the same commitment and passion,
yeah,
yes.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, we've got 3 wonderful conversation topics here that we could spend just time on each one for the remaining balance of our conversation. But let's start off, because this happened since we were all last together. The death of Tyre Nichols by 5 disgraced Memphis Police Department officers.
Well, they were more
Sarah?
than disgraced, Dr. Vibe, right? So I'll let you tell the people, what they did, and then.
Well, basically what happened was Mr. Nichols was basically traveling in his car and he got assaulted and beaten to death,
He was
basically.
going home.
He was going home, beaten to death.
To his mom.
Yes. And another thing I will say, I have not watched the video. Have you?
I work in the news business, but whenever it's come on, I've changed the channel and accidentally caught glimpses or heard just because it was on at the station, or my TV was on and it came to see another spectacle of Black trauma, especially when that Black trauma is being visited on an innocent young man by some brothers. What? That's the thing that shocked me the most. When it came out that it's not 1, 2, but 3, but 5 Black officers on the one guy.
When I first heard of this story, I said, because my thinking is this. One of my thoughts is there are certain non-melanated people who are very happy about this situation. There will be some certain, and maybe some melanated, just some people. Let's say some people. Let me just say people, because they say, you see, they do gangs in their neighborhoods, and then when they do gangs here, they don't care about each other's lives. That's how much they value each other. Whether it's at the neighborhood, Crips, Bloods, whatever situation, even now to the high rank here, they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of backstory on it too, because allegedly one of the officers,
his ex,
had a child with Mr. Nichols. So there's another layer there. There's another layer for me too, saying this proves to me though that not all Black lives matter. And the reason why I say that is that every weekend in cities like Chicago, they're even in our own cities in Canada, this gun violence is happening. You don't hear a lot about it.
The interesting thing is the people who speak out against gun control, they don't tend to look like us, the ones here on this side of the border. I don't know about the United States, right? Because the gun culture is quite strong over there. But on this side of the border, you saw what happened this week, right? Here in Ottawa, the Liberal government withdrawing those 2 amendments to the bill, the gun control bill that was going to make the list longer of prohibited guns or firearms here in Canada, and to take assault weapons off the street. You don't need an assault weapon to go hunting. Okay, I'm sorry. A moose, an assault rifle. Why do you need an AK-47? You're not a good shot. You shouldn't even be hunting in the first place. Okay, sorry. But so you have, PP. I can't even say his name. The leader of the Conservative Party.
Well, he's taking a victory laps right now. I heard him.
Taking a victory lap and not talking about the gun lobby that may or may not be bankrolling or not some of their campaigns or some of their people or some, no, they don't talk about that. Instead, they talk about, oh, and the liberals are soft on crime because they are doing away with mandatory minimum sentences, which we know disproportionately affect people that look like you and me and help fill up all of our federal and provincial penitentiaries. No, and then, of course, forgets all about the carnage that these weapons are doing on all of our streets from coast to coast, whether it's in the Maritimes or in British Columbia. No, I'm just blown away by just the lack of real compassion for the families of the victims. Like, they talk about how, oh yeah, we support the victims and and all this soft on crime. Yeah, but it's a multi-pronged problem. Stop underinvesting or defunding programs that help keep our young people off the streets and away from these gangs. Stop defunding programs that help families stay together or help families that are vulnerable and at risk. Stop defunding them. You're the people defunding that. And for crying out loud, assault weapons have no place on our streets. They should be on actual battlefields at war. Last time I looked, there is not a war in Canada. Why do we have them here?
Yeah. Well, getting back to the death of Mr. Nichols.
Yes. Yeah.
Lots of different facets here, like how quickly the officers were arrested.
Oh my, with a quickness. I didn't even have time to absorb the fact that yet again, another brutal murder at the hands of, police on video. I turn around and then I turn around again and they're like, yep, they've been fired, booked, whatever. What? And that took what? Is it 20 days? Something like 20 days, right? Yeah. Usually, how long did we wait for George Floyd? Was that a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, that was a while.
Oh.
That was a while. Let me ask you, how does this situation impact Blacks and their relationship with the police, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, it can't impact it more than what we already feel towards police, right? From slavery to now. From slavery to now. Like, from slave catching days to these days. It drives an even deeper wedge between our communities and law enforcement, especially when we see how quickly they can convict Black officers, but the white officers get away with it. The message is really glaring and loud with that. But again, as the Reverend Al Sharpton said at Tyre's homegoing, which also happened this week, I believe it was on Friday or Thursday.
Thursday, I think.
Thursday, yeah, no, it was Thursday. Thursday? The speed with which these officers were held accountable, because the Black community, our issue always has been, well, first of all, the brutalization and just, the systemic way in which this brutalization happens, but the lack of accountability, the lack of consequences for these people. So now that we've seen that the authorities are very clearly able to hold those perpetrators in uniform to account, let's apply that standard across the board, which is why members of the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, were at the White House this week talking to President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris about, folks, yeah, it's time, we need to make sure we have the databases with, these rogue, murderous cops, and we need accountability.
Looking at this these are black men killing black men. There's something really wrong.
I think killing is wrong, period. Like, especially if you are entrusted with the public trust and your motto, your professional motto, is to serve and protect. You swore an oath, officer. You swore an oath. People witnessed that oath. It was videotaped, that oath you made. Your families were there. And what you're doing is not serving and certainly not protecting. And this sort of brings up again, issues of what is a squad like this squad, which was specially created, I understand, in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
They're doing traffic stops. Hello? They're supposed to be chasing down notorious gangbangers and drug dealers and that kind of thing. And they're doing traffic stops and killing people. What's that about? And by the way, by the time they were beating up Tyre, a woman or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 were being murdered by their intimate partner in their home. Kids were being killed in their neighborhoods. People were overdosing somewhere across town. But these guys are...
Okay, I think Sarah's frozen on us just a minute. We should have her back. There we go.
What's that about?
Okay. Here's a question I have for you. And you don't have to answer it, but I'm going to put it out there. Some people that I've spoken to this week, over this last week, consider the police a gang. And the reason why they said this is that they said they dress the same. Many of them act the same. They're like a gang because they have their own rules. They abide by their own rules. They follow each other, the code, etc. Any thoughts you have in regards to that comment?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying, yeah, it's a group of organized thugs and they're in uniform and that sort of thing, right? I wouldn't go that far. It is true, though, that, like other organizations that have to do with policing, law enforcement, military, and that sort of thing, yeah, they do wear the same clothes, they have their own code, etc. The thing is, though, accountability. And the accountability, it's not just the police culture. It's also, you see in Memphis, and I'm not sure who the public prosecutors are or whoever, but there are enough Black people institutionally to hold those officers accountable. Like people institutionally who actually are doing their job. You can't just blame, the people who do it or who see to it that they get away with it. In this case, the chief of police saw the video and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. No, not on my watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. I want you out of my police department. I don't want you out in these streets terrorizing my citizens." No. You know what I'm saying? So, people shouldn't just focus on one element of it. It's a big machine. So, I have a friend over there in Tennessee who is, a grassroots activist. Shout out to Timothy Hughes of the NAACP Nashville branch, who are the people who have been trying to hold the institutional gatekeepers accountable for voter suppression, for police brutality, and other things like that harm disproportionately Black people, right? So, and us as citizens, we also have to hold ourselves accountable. In the United States, people vote for sheriffs, people vote for, you know,
Yep.
for many different layers of the institution.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't show up to vote for someone you felt was going to be fair, disciplined, and actually committed to doing their jobs properly, sit down. I don't want to hear from you. Don't wait until your loved one gets killed by law enforcement. Oh, that's now when you understand the importance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's very simplistic to just look at it in that way. You have to look at the system, the whole system, and then see what you as a citizen can do to help get the system changed. So we don't have to be watching these videos and watch Tyree's mama crying on TV. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Whew.
Oh, it's heavy.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be interested to see how that trial goes, and I'd love to hear the reason why they did that. Why
they beat the man to death?
Yeah. Why? First of all, who was the leader? Second of all, what methods did he use to coerce the other gentleman to join him? That's a whole, and again, it's not making Black people look good. That trial, there's no winners, period.
Everybody loses.
Right. That and again, some aspects of the media are going to have a field day with this one.
Oh, but they already have, right?
Yeah. But that's only what this is only part one. The trial now, when the trial hits,
yeah,
it's not a good day. Like Tyree's family, the perpetrator's family, but you know what? The Black family is losing on. Everyone who's melanated loses on this one. Everybody, you and I, we lose.
And it brought back, memories of Abdirahman Abdi.
Yep.
Every time a reporter wants me to talk about this, I'm like, excuse me, Abdirahman Abdi right here in Ottawa, we never got justice. That police officer got away with it, even though he was there on camera with the other police officer restraining Abdirahman. Killed in front of his house. Right in front of his house.
Yeah, this unfortunate has made me do a lot of deep thinking on the trauma that's a number of Black people have going on in them. It's just like this is almost like street violence like on steroids.
It is. And the repercussions, like everybody talks about mental health and this and that, but the repercussions on our actual health, the hypertension we have as mothers, daughters, girlfriends, partners of these Black men and these Black boys who we have to worry about 24/7 every time they are out of our sight. The Indigenous moms with the same stress. It's not a surprise that so many of us are not making it to 80.
Yeah.
Or 70. Because the trauma makes us ill.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a number of years ago, an associate said, Dr. Vibe, and she's melanated herself. She said that every melanated person needs a therapist.
Yes.
And these gentlemen, one word, why? That's it. That's all I'd ask. Why?
Have you noticed they've disappeared completely? They've disappeared. Like they were spirited. I asked my friend in Tennessee, where they at? And he said, yeah, they best be disappeared. They best be disappeared because
talk about living a life in fear.
and their families.
Oh,
who had nothing to do with what they did. I was watching several of the shows on American TV, these political commentators, and at least two of them were saying, y'all done shamed your families and harmed your families.
Yeah, because those families
did that
they're
night.
going to live in fear.
Yes. Imagining being the kids of these thugs, literally. You'd literally have to be pulled out of school. Because
I think we're going to hear about this, the impacts of this.
Oh, no, for a long time.
Many of us.
You know what? It's the Rodney King
Yes.
of this decade.
Yes. But the only thing
is going to have that similar impact.
The only thing is, though, the perpetrators are melanated.
True.
That's the difference. That's the big difference.
Which makes it worse.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll move on. We could go deeper on that, but I think we don't want to. Actually, yeah, it's just tiring even talking about this a bit. So I want to move on to the next thing.
Lord.
The U.S. military has shot down a Chinese high-altitude balloon after it drifted off the East Coast near the Carolinas. Sarah, is war coming?
No, it's not. Oh, my God.
You know the best thing about this story? China saying, oh, it's just a weather balloon.
Is that right? Okay. What weather were you looking for? Were you looking for the wonderful weather we've been having here up north? What? Were you looking for hurricanes in the southern United States?
A weather balloon.
Were you looking to see how dry the land is because of climate change? Oh. Curiouser and curiouser.
Are you surprised that the U.S. shot it down?
No, and I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised that they waited until it was away from
land,
a spot of land where it most likely the debris would have fallen on people and killed people, or fallen on their houses, or some railroad tracks, or an airport, or something. And I don't understand these Republicans. Please find something else to make political hay out of, please. These people, in fact, I don't even know why they're being given any airtime to say anything. No, seriously. They're not interested in governing. They're not interested in protecting American people writ large. I'm not even sure they're interested in protecting their own people. They're just there for political theater.
So here's an interesting question for you. How would have the previous president responded to this?
Trump?
Yeah.
I don't even want to know. I shudder to think.
Do you think you would have shot the balloon down?
The way things were going when he was in the White House, there were a lot of the generals and the military intelligentsia and establishment who, thankfully, were acting as a
buffer.
To nonsense going on that could cost a lot of American lives, or really endanger, because the Americans, from what I've heard, the Americans have been doing the same, having, surveillance. Yeah. Everybody does that.
Canada they have their satellites up in space.
Yeah. And Canada does that. France does that. They fly, air missions, surveillance, just to see what's going on, and to look at, who is close to our coastline. Canada does that a lot with, to see, wait a minute, all these foreign vessels fishing what are they doing? Endangering our fish stock, and what is all this activity up in the Arctic? Who are these people? And What the hell? Russian ships? What is this? You know, you have to watch your borders. You have to watch your land.
But not
and
inside.
Everybody knows that that's part of
the game.
Geopolitics.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. But the carelessness with which the Chinese are doing,
or some maybe say the brazenness.
This is true. But right? Apparently this was not the first time. Apparently under Trump, same more than once. Happened. So
that was real. That's if it was a spy balloon, that's really bold. That's really, but maybe China was testing America.
Yeah, maybe, because back in China, things are not going all that well for the leadership there. People are kind of fed up with being confined because of, the strict COVID rules. Unemployment is going up.
Well, their last, was it Chinese Party Congress? There were some pretty funky things that happened.
Well, like the previous president who was gently ushered out. He was sitting right next to.
Is he still even alive?
What in the world? What was that?
They're just going, oh, okay. See ya.
No, it's distraction tactics. But I think the Western media has this thing where they're very easily distracted by that sort of thing. You might find that balloon was a distraction so that they could do something else.
True.
In the China Seas, right? Because there's territorial disputes over there.
Big time.
The American bases are not far away. The Australians are freaking out. The Five Eyes. Good distraction. Look over here. This is happening.
And if I heard correctly, there's also rumored another balloon around the South America too.
Central
America.
Yep. And as well, you might, your listeners might want to keep in mind as well that China is looking for resources. They're already all over the Caribbean and they're all over Africa. I saw that when I went home.
You mean
to Kenya? I was like, what in the world?
Chafrica?
Pardon?
Chafrica?
Oh, please don't do it.
Because Chinese already, you see, and it's
no, people are learning Chinese in school because,
see,
right?
It's America. So here's the question: who do you trust, an American or a Chinese? The Americans or the
I don't trust none of them. I don't trust none of them. I don't.
Well, at least the Chinese, when they come into, they say, "Look, we just want to do strict business. We don't care about your human rights. We just want to do business with you." Right? But
I don't like that anymore than I like, being told, "Oh, we are here with our what do you call those? Not peacekeepers, but Peace Corps. We're here with a Peace Corps and this and that, and development aid and this program and all of that." I don't trust either of them. Whether you tell me in my face that you just want to exploit my resources and completely disregard labor laws here and our people, etc., because you have our leaders in your pocket. Because remember, a lot of what goes on, all that land grabbing and all of that environmental devastation, it goes on against the people's will.
Of course.
The people didn't vote for that. Only a small handful get to benefit and put their money overseas, ironically. Not even invest in the country, put it overseas.
So do you feel, will this incident lead to anything worse?
Dr. Vibe, I don't even know what to expect. I don't know. Like after January 6th, after Americans put Trump in the White House, and January 6th, I said, you know what? Yeah, like, because, again, there's all these distractions. Ooh, a balloon over there. Oh, something's being bombed over there. Oh, the Russians have invaded Ukraine. Oh, Something's happening up in Norway. Oh,
Oh,
terrorist attacked in Brussels. Oh,
oh.
another one in Paris. All these migrants washing ashore on the coast of Spain and Italy. Oh. Boom, boom, boom. A lot of distractions.
We will see if this leads to anything else between China and the U.S. Already at loggerheads as it is.
You know, I hope not, because, and people need to make a distinction between the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese government and Chinese people. You know, people say the Chinese. No, there's the people, and then there's a party and a government doing things in their name.
Oh boy. All right. Well, let's wind it off with this interesting situation: the kerfuffle over Black Night at the National Arts Center. So, Sarah, since you are located in that vicinity, can you give us a little background on this story?
Well, with an all-black cast, directed by a Black director, everything black, is coming to town on February 9th. And it's going to be running from February 9th to 18th. That's a long time, right? That's a long time, 9th to 18th. And so the National Arts Center, the woman organizing the Blackout Night, she had been to a Blackout Night in Toronto for and especially when it comes to productions that talk about very sensitive issues that in us as Black people, right? She saw just how the all-Black audience really appreciates
Okay, we're experiencing some technical difficulties with Sarah's feed. We're just going to see if we can get her back. Okay, so we'll hopefully get Sarah back on in just a few moments. So we were talking about the kerfuffle over Black Night Out at the National Arts Center in Ottawa. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put you up a little story about it so you have some context and background. Hopefully Sarah will be hopefully back with us in just a moment. So I'm just going to put up a story about that so you can take a look. Okay. All right, so let me just get the story up for you. All right, so put it up here. Oh, Sarah is back.
I'm so sorry about that.
No problem. That happens.
Yeah, apparently our cable provider lately has not been very good about, reliable internet service. So it keeps cutting out. But as I was saying,
go ahead.
The woman who organized this, who herself is a Black woman, decided she wanted Ottawa audiences for the first time ever. This has never been done in Ottawa ever. She wanted them to have that same experience of being in a safe space and being able to react to things, triggering them or making them happy or tearful or whatever, without having that white gaze or that non-Black gaze on them, without having to censor themselves, right? And it's one night out of, 9? No, it's more than 9. I think it's 11, 10.
Okay, let me just...
No, 9, yeah.
9? Okay.
Yeah, it's 9 nights. And so what happened was, for whatever reason, somebody started an online campaign complaining, oh, this is racism. What is this? What's, with all Black people? And, why?
Racism?
Yeah, they were saying it's reverse racism and what the hell is this? And of course, the loudest people, were these white supremacist types and some people on this side of the river, on the Quebec side, the people who are always denying systemic racism, that kind of, yeah. And, no matter how well it was explained by the NAC and by other activists, it's almost like they were determined to drag this out and create a fake scandal out of it, because it is a fake scandal. It's not even a scandal. Black people want their own space. Oh my God. Isn't that awful and terrible?
Huh. So I'm just putting up a story here that's online. The suggestion, I'm just reading a bit of it. The suggestion that the show is for Black audiences led to criticism by a number of American right-wing media outlets.
Of course.
The Daily Mail,
Peterson and his friends.
Yeah, plus the Daily Mail in the United Kingdom, which published a story with the headline, quote, Canada's top taxpaying funded theater sparks fury by holding Black-only performance of a play that bans white and Asian people from attending. I didn't hear,
okay, already look at the language. Bans. It did not ban. It did not ban. They stated that it was primarily for Black and Black identifying audience members. Right?
Yeah.
So it didn't ban, and the premise was well explained. But they didn't hear that part. They just wanted to get to the, gotcha and ruin it for everybody. Not just ruin it for Black people, ruin it for allies of Black people or people who are married to Black people who wanted to be there to just share in the experience. But without applying that, voyeuristic white gaze thing,
So here's in this article, there's a quote here from Rosemary Sadler, who we've had on the platform a number of times.
Black History Society, yeah.
Yeah, she goes, quote, I think that the people are taking a cheap shot and using a misunderstanding of what is segregation, she said, adding, quote, when people gather together on an ad hoc or at one purposeful moment, like going to the theater, that is not segregation, unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking to Global News from a Black History Month event, she added, what better time for Black people to choose to come together purposely to talk about some of our harms and find some ways to heal. Good point.
Very, but you know what though, as well?
Yeah.
The National Arts Center, God bless them for real. Germaine, Rosingrid, the whole team, Kondwani, God bless them, because they've gone in there and are trying to really decolonize and open up spaces for audiences who typically just don't see themselves reflected in the programming, and quite frankly, have not felt really even welcome, right, in these spaces. And one has to accept that and point out that there are people on the inside, within, who aren't necessarily down with that kind of change. Some people like things exactly how they are,
or
and
even
are very comfortable,
or were even where they were before, not even where they are even before.
Exactly. So some white cultural critics, white cultural organizations who are against the whole EDI movement. So this is just something to sort of seize on, like a dog with a bone, to say, see, you give them EDI and look, see what the Black people are doing. Look at that, discriminating. All the while leaving out the fact that, excuse me, there's 8 other days of this production that you could see? Is it a must that you go on February 17th? What's up with that? You examine yourself. What is this really about? Just so you know, I've turned down every single interview from mainstream media about this. Every single one.
Wow.
Because I'm not convinced that the reason that I'm being approached is to say anything that will empower and elevate my Black people and support the initiatives.
That's interesting. Have you ever
done pro-Black initiatives? It's not anti-white. It's pro-Black, and it's that same, the same dynamic where you have to keep explaining to people. It's like, no, it's not that we hate white people, and it's not like we're against white people. We're just very, very much pro-us, pro-empowering us, because y'all disempowered us, and y'all excluded us. So we're doing something for us, for a change.
How often have you denied interviews from the news media on a subject? Just out of curiosity.
Often.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I know they're coming at me because I'm a Black person. I happen to be, someone with a megaphone, someone that, a lot of people listen to. And I'm not saying that because I'm painting myself as a thought leader, but because I'm on the radio. I do 3 different shows, right, on the weekend. And I also have a TV show, and I'm on there too. And, Black History Ottawa and that sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, what is this really about? And then you know how they do the pre-interview with the mainstream, and they make you feel comfortable, and they tell you this, and no, we're not going to talk about that. It's going to be this. They lull you into a false sense of security. And then you get there. The first thing they bring up is that same thing that they said they were not going to bring up, the whole gotcha, And I have embarrassed a few people, which might explain why I don't get asked as much anymore, where I know exactly where they're going. And I just say, I'm not here to talk about that.
You know their agenda.
Yes, but no, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about this. Nope, I don't have an opinion. Kind of, it kills the buzz. And
I love it. Sarah's, yeah, there's a lady that's on periodically on the platform. Her name is Dr. Tachi, and she says she'll build her own table. Thank you very much.
Amen, sister. Amen, sister. Your own table, your own studio, your own podcast, your own everything. And speaking of which, the last topic was the theme that was chosen by Canadian Heritage. Ours to tell, our stories.
Yeah.
Black History Month theme chosen by the government of Canada. I had to sort of, ours to tell, ours as Canadians, as mainstream Canadians, ours as Black people, both. What's going on here?
Well, before we close up, question: how many events are you involved in this month? You told us at the beginning. How many are you involved in this month?
Well, involved in like 4, but I'm easily going to at least 20.
Wow.
Easily.
Wow.
Because remember, I'm on both sides of the river, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But our stories to tell, I'd like to finish with just encouraging our audience, especially the Black audience members, that, this being Black History Month, let's us be telling our stories or continuing to tell our stories. There are people who've been telling our stories forever. Rosemary Sadler is one. My good friend Kathy Grant
Oh,
one
yes,
with,
yes.
the history of our Black military
Kathy Grant,
veterans.
yes, yes.
We've got, the Francis Ann Solomons, the Sutherland, Jennifer Holness, Cheryl
Yeah.
Fogos, Selwyn Jacob, who've been telling our stories that mainstream production outfits or whatever don't want to tell because they don't feel them worthy or whatever. Like, what audience can we get? There's always an audience for a
Yeah.
story that is inspiring, for a story that
We are overcomers. That's all you need to know.
absolutely.
So you don't need to dig deep. You they just need to ask almost any Black person. They can give you a story.
But the reason why it's important to tell our stories,
Yeah.
if we don't, somebody else gets to tell our story their way.
No, they're continuing to tell our story their way,
which they've been doing. And
Mhm.
people like Kathy and Francis Ann and Jennifer and Suds and them are correcting that. And people who have platforms, Fabienne Coula, Tanya Lee Williams,
Yes.
creating platforms for us to tell stories. Let's support our creators, whether they create the platforms or they actually create the content or facilitate the storytelling, whether it's on film, on TV, in song, in music, right? Let's support those. Let's promote those. We spend a lot of time focusing on the Americans and this and then the Americans. In Canada, we have a rich, rich, rich history with many stories inside of that history. The Black experience is over 400 years old. Hello. Lots of stories in English et en français, et en Creole, and in Yoruba and Igbo and all kinds of languages. Let's make sure we're not just telling the stories, we're documenting the stories, we're packaging them, and we're digitally saving them so that our kids, their kids, and those kids after those have the benefit of having sort of that direct, account.
Yes.
Of the Black experience.
And I would just say to anyone, especially if you're melanated, if you get the opportunity, especially during this month, if you're in the presence of an elder, sit down and just ask them this question. Could you please tell me some of your story? I need to know so I can be better. Because that isn't on a screen. They've lived it. I enjoy being around Black elders. The stories I hear, I will never see them on this screen, let alone the big TV screen or a movie screen.
Yeah.
Those are real. That's living history.
Exactly. Yeah, and we're an oral tradition people.
That's our foundation.
It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
And no offense, Black people are the best storytellers ever. The expression, the creativity in the expression, the humor, even when they're talking about painful experiences, priceless.
Absolutely.
Priceless.
Well, Sarah, as always, thank you for taking time in your positive, productive schedule. We got you for 2 weeks in a row. 2 times in a row? How long has it been since we've had you twice in a row? That's fantastic.
Well, let's keep it going.
Absolutely. Where can people get in touch with you?
blackonblack891@hotmail.com. That's our show, Black on Black, that airs weekly, every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So tune in to that. This past yesterday, we actually discussed this whole kerfuffle at the National Arts Center with the person organizing the event for 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
That's prime content.
Yes, because our show is a safe space for us.
That's prime content.
Right? So that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. What are you privy to tell us any other things coming up in the next few weeks on your platform?
I'm hoping to be talking to the young man who designed the coin that honors the number 2 Construction Battalion.
Yo.
The coin has been issued. I've already put in my order at the Royal Canadian Mint. We're lucky here in Ottawa. The mint is based here. So I as soon as I saw what it was, straight from work, I literally ran to the mint and put in my order for the $100 silver coin in honor of the number 2 Construction Battalion. So so we have that event at the museum, the Canadian War Museum, about the apology to the number 2. So I hope everybody's going to tune in. I believe it's from 7 to 8:30 p.m. So if you just go to the Canadian War Museum website, you can find that event. You could find other events as well that the 2 museums are putting on as part of Black History Month. And the National Arts Center has a lot of other programming. There's concerts as well. So just go to the National Arts Center, the NAC website, and go check it out.
Fantastic. Thank you as always. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, especially manage your energy.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. All right. Another great conversation. And Sarah, as always, knocked out of the park, as always. So thank you so much for taking the time, whether you're watching this live or on replay or listening to it on replay. You can watch replays of Black Canada Talking. It's scrolling along the bottom, but I'll say it for those who are listening only, on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Also, you can go to my website, www.thedrvibeshow.com. So a few last things. As I said before, if you're watching this or listening to this before February 16th, 2023. Yeah, the time is going by faster than that. Go to this website address you're seeing on the screen and hear me talk about all things podcasting. The event on February 16th, again, is held from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's an open Q&A, so you can ask me anything about podcasting. So look forward to seeing you there. Also, we want to take care of subscribing to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, and like it on Facebook or wherever you're watching this. Subscribe, especially on YouTube. When you subscribe on YouTube, also hit the notification button to alert you when upcoming conversations are happening. So that is it. So this is how we close. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. And always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And finally, give yourself grace. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, and we'll catch you soon. Yeah. Listen.